And like, so my daughter and I are playing dragons. Like, she plays with these little dragons and dinosaurs, and sometimes I play as well. And she's like 11, almost gonna be turning 11 in a few weeks. And she got her first, monthly friend. So it started this conversation about, like, the birds and the bees, and she started asking, like, why does she have to bleed down there? Honestly, like, it was the weirdest conversation of my life when you have to talk to your first child about, like, the birds and the bees and, like, gross, disgusting things, why girls get periods, etc. So I just want to tell other parents like what I did so that maybe it would help them, because I know that it is really uncomfortable. Like, I felt super uncomfortable, and I'm like a school counselor in training. I'm a substitute teacher. Like, I am around kids, I talk to a lot of them, I get it. It's uncomfortable, and like, I know that as millennials, a lot of us grew up with parents who barely even spoke to us about like drugs or sex or anything. And so, if you have a millennial parent, overall, the consensus of millennials is like, no, you guys, we have to talk to kids about like the truth and reality of internet and porn and naked pictures and videos and why they people do it and stuff. So like, yeah, that was the conversation between my daughter and I took it as a chance, as she's 10 years old, to just explain it, and I'll tell you how I explained it, but to explain things that she's going to see without like just putting up blinders. Of course, she's going to probably see some type of porn, nude things, kids at school and or friends, who knows? But I can't possibly watch everything she does. So the only thing I can do is warn her. Like that scene in 90210 when Donna's like, we can keep the kids from swimming, but wouldn't you rather you teach them how to swim? So yeah, with my daughter, I took the opportunity to tell her about, I said, kind of like this. I said, because she goes, well, how does a woman even get pregnant? And I'm like, well, do you really want to know? Because it's kind of gross. So I always tell her the truth. And she's like, yeah, I guess so. And so I'm like, well, the guy's part down there, I said the penis. But I said it like that. I was like, penis? Ew. And I was like, well, he literally has to put that inside of a woman in order for them to connect and have a baby. I said it like as simple as I could for a 10-year-old, but like the truth. Right? She's just like, maybe she knows more, maybe not, but like I could kind of gauge the conversation, and I just know that she's never been around like older kids or left alone or sleepovers or anything. Like, she's just only been with me and school. And like when I'm there to supervise play dates, not just leaving her. I said, also, Amber, I want you to know that when you get to school and older kids might show you bad things on the internet, like naked people, because there's bad people out there. I told her, men and women. I'm like, there's bad people that think it's okay to put naked pictures of each other or videos of them naked on the internet. And I said, so you might see that, and it's best to just look away, because once you see it, it's kind of like always like burned in your mind or ingrained into your mind, and you can't really forget about it. And it's just gross. It's like you're in a room with naked people watching them. It's just creepy. And I said, honestly, that's what's out there, and that's what people are doing. I said, that's what, and I gave her a name for that. I said, that's what people are doing when they call it sex. And I said, and I gave her a name for sex, saying sex is kind of considered a bad word, like you wouldn't really want to say it. I said at school or to your friends, but just so you know what it is, it's that how a man and woman have a baby, and or pictures and videos on the internet of people being naked and stuff, and I just didn't get into any more details at this time, right? But then she asked me, she goes, well, is there any other way for a man and a woman to have a baby? Like, could a doctor just give them a baby? And I was like, so then we kind of talked about like adoption, and literally we talked about artificial insemination. So I'm like, well, technically, yes, a doctor, a specialized doctor, could take a tool and like use the woman's body and medically use a procedure to make her pregnant, right? Like, where am I going with this? But I just broke it down for her as well as I could, and honestly, like, yesterday was a difficult day. I had a difficult paper due. I got it done with only 2 hours to spare, but I got it done and I was proud of it. And then my daughter wanted to play dragons and dinosaurs, and I'm like pretty tired, but I told her, okay, we can play for a little bit. And then we get into this deep ass conversation, like, of course. And so, how, anyways, like, to wrap it up, how I knew that she was like kind of okay with our conversation and talk, she just wanted to get back to playing. And I was just like, fine. I didn't keep on with it, like, I just gauged the conversation, and when she felt like it was cool, time to move on, I'm like, okay, time to move on. But my gosh, she's gonna look back at least her 10-year-old self, and we've had other little talks, but I don't think kids, like, really grasp things honestly until maybe 10 or 11. Like, I think back to my childhood, and 10 and under is pretty fuzzy. It's just, you do kind of forget about things, like, obviously not trauma and big huge things and overall general consensus of your life. Age 10 or less, I'm not saying you forget it, it's just that it becomes fuzzy. And even as a teenager, it wasn't like I really related to my like 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 8-year-old self. I kind of just forgot about that person. Like, you don't remember that person until you get older and like have a little empathy for your younger self or something, or you should. But anyway, so that's what I talked about with my daughter about that topic. I was just like honest, engaging the conversation, like I said, like that's all you can do as a parent or a teacher. And another important thing I'll close with was, I told my daughter, like I said, if anyone at school ever says anything to you that makes you feel uncomfortable, and I told her, a student or a teacher, I said, or adult, anyone, I said, anyone makes you feel uncomfortable, I said, I want you to know that you can talk to me about anything. And I said, and no judgments. And I said, you're not in trouble. I also told her that if she wants me to keep anything private from her dad, that I respect that and I would. And I mean that, because she is my daughter. She's like my flesh and blood. She's my little girl. Like, if she wants me to keep a secret from anyone on the planet, like, I feel like I owe that to her. Like, I'm her mom, and I should be her trusted friend mom and confidant. Not like party friend mom, but like true feelings. She shares her journal, her little diary with me. She's like, do you want to read it? I'm like, okay. And it's so cute. It's like her day and stuff, and like, and also times when she feels lonely and sad. I'm like, oh my gosh. So also ending with just other kids out there, know that if you are missing a parent, like you don't have a dad or you don't have a mom, like for my daughter's sake anyway, she was saying that she's lonely. She's still lonely even though she has two parents who like love her and are in her life. And did separate when she was 10, but like she was 10 and we talked about it and I explained everything I could, and she wasn't traumatized as much as possibly could be by the situation. So I think as humans, we just want love, and we have to find like friends and relationships and hobbies and things like outside of our family and outside of our comfort zone when we're ready. Also, I highly recommend every single parent download and look at this free handbook from the Childhood 2.0 documentary, and it's just a great resource about like different elements of kids being online and being honest about what is out there, and just some things that parents might want to know. Book, it's free to download. It's free to read. It's free. The YouTube has the video, and just look up Childhood 2.0 The Living Experiment, and you can find the free information online.